Hey, one and all, Glenn Hausman here. Don't worry, Anthony is with us. Just stuck in a little traffic. He'll be here any second. Let's get this show going. Happy Monday.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey, everybody. Glenn Hausman here. I'm so happy that you are with us. And like I said, don't worry, Anthony McCarry will be joining any single moment. He was just backstage, but he's not quite in front of his computer yet. Darn you, New York City traffic. But I got to be honest with you, I'd much prefer to see all of that traffic in New York City than not have traffic like we did before when this pandemic was raging. But thank goodness things are getting back up to speed. We're all getting back up to speed. And that's kind of like the theme that we're going to be talking about this week and next week. We're doing a series of live shows coming at you from Las Vegas. Next Monday, we're going to be at the Virgin Hotel. I'm going to be attending the opening of Resorts World and giving you lots of reports from that event and hopefully from the opening night party, which I've been invited to. So yeah. Thank you. Thank you all. I'm really excited about that. And of course, we're also going to be talking to the good folks from Downtown Organization, trying to see what's going on and helping to bring back that story. Tomorrow, we got another great show as well. We're going to be broadcasting live from the Langham in New York City, outside no less. So that's going to be an absolute beautiful show. But on Wednesday, I am taking off for the day to attend the funeral of Pat Ford. You know, our good friend Bruce Ford's father passed away. So I will be attending that. Then we'll be back here with the live show on Thursday. All right, so I'm talking about Las Vegas and stuff like that and how events are coming back. And just last week, they had their first big city-wide event. That was the World of Concrete Expo, and other events are going to be coming. So we thought we would check in with somebody that puts on events for a living as part of their association. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in our guest for today, and Anthony will be joining us. Now, he is the president and CEO of the Association for Packaging and Processing Technologies, Mr. Jim Pittas. Jim, welcome back to our show. Great to see you, sir.
Good to see you, Glenn. How you doing?
I'm so excited to have you here with me today. And sorry, Jim, as we're getting back to it, even I'm getting back to it. I had over 20 people here yesterday at the Hausman Resort Pool Club and Smokehouse, and it felt good to be getting back to it, feeling like things are getting back to a sense of normalcy. And Jim, you guys over there, you're starting to feel a little bit of that too, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's opening up faster than we thought. We kind of thought in the spring, things looked like they were on the right track and everything was going to be, fairly reasonably decent. And now it just seems like we've hit the fast lane. Everything's going a lot faster than we thought. And our folks were out at World of Concrete last week, checking that out. I mean, we had gone into it even 3-4 weeks ago thinking, hey, we're going to need to limit how many people come in the hall, one-way aisles, separation, blah, blah, blah. And really concerned how we were going to do that. Because in spite of being down, we're still well over 700,000 square feet of sold space already. And how you now all of a sudden create 6 feet of separation, and that was going to be really difficult. So they're
incredible, man. 70,000 square feet, you're already sold out of space.
700,000.
Sorry.
Yeah, 700,000. We're actually more than that. We're going to be down. We don't know how much yet. I'll tell you that. It's going to be all the international exhibitors. That's the group that's going to be the last, I think, to get back on board with face-to-face trade shows, at least in the U.S. We thought international meant outside of North America. I think our Canadian and Mexican friends are also going to have some issues here come the fall. Hopefully that changes. We're hearing from our members up in Canada. It's not really a problem coming. It's just they have a mandate when you go back that you have to quarantine. So some of them are saying, hey, we can't do that kind of thing. But yeah, we will probably be down close to about 10% from 2 years ago in space. Attendees, too early to tell. I mean, we might be well inside 10% on that because we're hearing some great things from that.
Yeah. And honestly, I'll tell you what, Jim, whatever you're feeling today is probably not how you're going to be feeling in September, because after all, your event is at the end of September, September 27th through 29th to be specific. And so you guys know I'll be at the same exact time at the Lodging Conference in Phoenix, Arizona. And Jim, that event, they're reporting already, great attendance at. It's a very different event. It's a much smaller event, but percentage-wise, they're hewing very closely to where they were in 2019. So with everything opening up again, with everything starting to get back to normal and feel normal, this has got to be a weird position for you to be in, because you need to plan for September, but you're still stuck in the COVID mindset and behind. And now things you said are coming back much quicker. How do you even get yourself in the right head to prepare for all the eventualities that you're going to be experiencing in July and August and September before your show?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, it's a lot easier now than it was even 60 days ago, right? Because 60 days ago, we were planning on 2 parallel lines, and now we're on one line, maybe with a little extra. So I think it's becoming a lot clearer that we're much closer to business as usual than we thought we were going to be at this point. Right. And we kind of expect actually our space to kind of pick up some steam here as our exhibitors, past exhibitors and members see the world is opening up, attendees are coming, because that's been the concern for a lot of our exhibitors. Hey, I have no problem supporting you guys in the show, but no one's going to be there. So if no one's going to be there, I'm not going to spend, $500,000 on a booth, or I'm not going to, have the booth size I've had in the past. We're starting to see a little bit of a crack in that, where they are thinking, hey, you know what, there are going to be people there. And as the attendees start kind of building that buzz, because quite frankly, I can send them as much as I want in promotion. The attendees, their buyers, their customers are the ones that are going to push them to show up. And we saw some, not cancellations, but downsizing, exhibitors just cutting their booths in half. And that kind of has a ripple effect, right? That means they're bringing less people to the show and less equipment to the show. And we saw that early on in the spring, and that's pretty much come to an end. I think we've kind of hit the bottom there, and now we're just adding on. So, back to your question, it's becoming a lot easier. We're in much more familiar territory now. We will have kind of a virtual bolt-on thing to we'll basically be broadcasting our content from the show. Right. We'll have our magazine groups. We'll be doing a couple different, live from the floor kind of things, but we're not doing face-to-face. We're not trying to replicate face-to-face. That just doesn't work. We've tried it multiple times. It doesn't work.
No, you can't make it seem like it's face-to-face in the virtual environment. They're really two completely different skill sets and opportunities for people. All right, Jim, I hate to interrupt you, but the man is here. Let's welcome to the show, Anthony McCarry is back. Anthony, how is that traffic treating you?
Oh, it's great. You like my outfit? Suit? This is my suit today.
This is what you wear because you've been taking care of your family and going back.
And because it's dreary here in New York, and I like wearing suits on dreary days, it makes me feel better. But I got this new sweatshirt, and I was like, I really like it, so I'm not taking it off. And then I'm starting to realize I'm starting to look like Sean Connery a little bit.
Look at
without all the good looks.
Well, I was going to say, you're just like the Highlander. There can be only one, so just look out for any potential beheadings in your future. But Anthony, Jim and I are talking about their event that's coming to the Las Vegas Convention Center, September 27th through 29th. And we were last discussing how some of his suppliers, his vendor partners there, have been downsizing a little bit, which means less people in all from that side coming. But simultaneously, he's really starting to see some of the attendees thinking about coming and all of that. So we're just getting into how he's handling running on parallel tracks with still a sense of not knowing how everything's going to unfold. Anthony?
Right. And my question would be, are they making decisions based on their concern that there's just not a lot of people coming, or are they realizing there's efficiencies that they could have built in a year ago or 2 years ago that they haven't built in, that it's going to be long-term efficiencies, or is just this a short-term strategy?
Yeah, I think it's more of a short-term strategy. I think it's just hey, on a typical year, we spend $500,000 on our show. You guys are going to have half as many people at your show this year than you did 2 years ago, and we're just not going to invest at that level. I think some of them are kind of rethinking that, and we've definitely, some of those who were going to sit out this year are now starting to come in. I mean, as Glenn and I were just talking about, we've really seen kind of an uptick here in the last 6 to 8 weeks of new exhibitors coming in. I mean, and that's going to drive everything, right? It starts with the exhibitors, and that's going to pull the attendees. So we got to have both kind of happen at the same time. But I think,
how big do you think your show will be? You think it'll be 90% of what it was? You think it'll be 100%?
I think it'll be probably closer to 90. The group that we won't get back, we were just talking about this, is the international. That's the group that's going to be the last ones to come back. And we had a fairly large, fortunately for us, it only represents, 8% of our show. not including multinationals. But the huge China pavilion's not coming, an Italian pavilion, the French pavilion. Some of their exhibitors individually are coming, but for the most part, they're not. And that's where we'll see the loss, right? Everything else, I think, will be close to what we had 2 years ago. And interestingly, we actually have gone out with our contracts for next year in Chicago, and so far we're running ahead of pace. So what we were in 2018, we didn't have a 2020 show, obviously.
Wow. That's pretty incredible that you're ahead of pace for 2022, which makes a whole lot of sense, because you were talking about some people hedging their bets. They're still a little hesitant to get back out there and do a complete spend. So they're saying, take a deep breath, and then we'll be back in full force in 2022. Let's make that investment now while we still have some money in the budget for it.
Yeah.
What the heck, right?
Just one thing too. We're at a huge advantage here because our industry has never done better. I mean, they are every member you talk to is having the best couple years they've ever had. COVID has been really, it's not a great thing to say, but it's been really good for our industry. And so we're not dealing with any kind of financial crisis here. We're not dealing with people cutting back because they don't have money. They have lots of money and they're willing to spend it, but again, they're just not going to waste it on something they think is going to be less attended. We're hoping we can convince them otherwise. Don't get me wrong.
Well, your business did well because, as I remember the last time you were here, you're in the packaging business, and well, you half of the packaging came to my house, so I'm sure you're doing well.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a robot the other day packing Amazon boxes.
Yeah.
Is that going to happen? Is that the trend?
It's been happening. It still is happening. I mean, a lot of their stuff is robotics, and there's some great videos out there of Amazon and how many unmanned forklifts that go out and get packages and bring them to certain places.
This was actually putting the material in the box, which they say really is just the beginning. They haven't really done that before. Is that not true?
Yeah, they've been doing it for a while. I mean, there's some of it. It depends what it is. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Some of it depends what it is. The robotic side of it is really coming down the line to the packer. Usually when you get something from Amazon, it's one thing in a box, which is kind of a problem for a lot of people, by the way. So this is actually getting that one thing that's going to go in the box to the packer who's going to put it in the final.
No, the robot's packing it. It shows the robot taking the box, putting the box upside down, taking the thing off the shelf or whatever it comes to them, putting it in, taping it, and sending it. So there is no packer, and I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, no, it's been going on. I was saying the robotics prior to this, the recent, has been actually getting it to that packer, to that human being to put in the box. But there's lots of robotics down the line. I mean, we represent the people that do the machinery for Amazon packing that, but we also represent the guys who make the machinery for your cornflakes that have to be processed, put into a plastic bag, put into a carton. That carton goes into another corrugated box. That corrugated box usually gets put on a skid and shrink wrap.
They sold a lot of cornflakes, right? Last year, there was a lot of cornflakes being sold last year.
Banner year for cornflakes. We should have invested in Kellogg's last year, and it would have been a good bet. But that's our packaging kind of goes all up and down. Everything you buy is packaged. Everything.
I'd imagine if 10 years ago, if you took packaging sales and put it to today for packaging, I'd imagine it's got to be double, because Amazon really in its form today didn't exist 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So it's got to be. I mean, I was coming back from a business trip on Friday. I was in Washington D.C. and I must have seen, without exaggeration, I wasn't even counting, over 100 Amazon Prime trucks.
Yeah. No, they're out there for sure. Yeah, you're right. Yes, it has gone up. It's gone up for. Certainly the e-commerce is a big part of that. It's also gone up because when you walk into your grocery store, you got your package in every single type of material you could think of, right? And some of it's trying to be more sustainable with biodegradable material. Some of it's recycled material. So all those things kind of change. And our members, they love it all. Anytime a Kellogg's decides to change what that box looks like, they have to retool themselves to do so, and that's where our members come in, and that's what they sell. Not only the machinery, we also sell the materials and the processing equipment. So, you think about even like things like your cans of soup, right? That's for years and years. We always bought cans of soup, and now you go to the store and actually they're in plastic jars, right? They're in actually like flexible packaging. All those things, they seem kind of silly, but those all have to be machine lines or packaging lines all have to be retooled in order to be able to do that.
The greatest invention ever in packaging is when you're putting the flip top on tuna cans. So I don't have to use the can opener anymore.
Yeah.
2:00 in the morning when I'm hungry, I don't have to get the can opener out. It's the greatest invention in mankind.
You think that's a great invention, but I have the same issue with cat food. And if you pull it the wrong way, like a drop or two will come flying out and hit you, and you can't get that stink out of anything. And it's really horrible. About 5:30.
This is a great question that just came up if you posted. And this is a question that I've had since I'm a kid. Why doesn't cereal come with Ziploc bags in the box? Why?
I'm sure it's a cost thing.
Yeah.
It costs more to put a Ziploc bag. We actually, the guys that invented Ziploc bags actually are PMMI members, and I'm sure they would love to sell Kellogg's their Ziploc technology if they would buy it. But I'm sure it's just a cost thing. In order to keep
just do what everybody does. Just press it on to the customer.
You would hope that the customers would pay for that extra convenience, but a lot of times they won't. We have a member who sells the material that goes around, like when you go buy your Coke or whatever, or beer, and it's shrink wrapped, right, in a film material, in a plastic material.
Right.
They sell actually material that's made out of sugar, so it's completely biodegradable, and their customers won't pay the extra 10% more for this biodegradable plastic film. They just won't do it, and because they're certain you as a consumer aren't going to pay the extra 5 cents, right? And
I don't be the way to do it, man. Because every time I open up a box of cereal, I feel like it's getting stale.
Well, I'll tell you what, number one, people will pay the extra 5 cents because they're already paying a ridiculous amount of money for cereal that they shouldn't be paying. No offense, Kellogg's. We understand to make money.
But wasn't there a cereal war lawsuit years ago?
I'm sure.
It was too much money, and the government got involved and said cereal for $9 a box doesn't make sense. And now they're regulated on how much they can charge, I believe.
We could get into a whole philosophical debate of whether or not cereal is even needed for breakfast. You got to take a look at your history lessons on how all of that was created.
I don't even think breakfast is needed. I don't need it till 2:00.
You and me both, brother. All right. So enough of this incredible cereal talk, but I want to get back to what's going on with your event over there.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So
we don't want to be a serial killer. We don't want to.
Yeah, we don't either. So
sorry. I have to do the sound.
You know what? I said Glenn didn't pick that up. I thought Glenn would pick it up, and I said for Glenn's assistance, I'll pick it up, even though I would not normally say things like that. But it seems like such a Glenn thing to do.
It's totally way too much of a me thing to say. I'm trying to be on my best behavior. It is Monday. Don't worry, this will devolve over the week. So Richard often wonders why goods for the fridge can't be made in, say, 3 sizes of box so you can fit more in the fridge, or should I just be a bigger fridge? Yeah, they're in cahoots with the refrigerator companies, I think, over there. All right, but in regards to your event, Jim, do you believe Virgin, it's actually the boring loop, this is not a Hyperloop that they built over there, will bring additional crowds to Las Vegas because the Resorts World is open, the Underground Path is going to be open from Resorts World to Convention Center when that place opens next week. So that's pretty exciting. And I think if I was on the fence, that might be enough to get me to go.
It's a nice novelty for right now. I think it's kind of cool. Our folks did ride it when they were out there last week, and I think the real value of it will be when it goes further down, right? Going from one side to the other is convenient if you know where to go and how to get there. But where you're going to really see the value, I think, is at the end of the show when we're trying to get those folks out. And, the people mover can take so many, our buses can take so many, and there's so many cabs and so many Ubers, right? So I think, that'll be kind of a nice benefit to have. It's we're anxious to see it go further than just
where's it go now? Where's it go from where to where now?
It goes from the West Building over to the South Building. I think it stops in front of Central. So
it's very small. And then the first expansion is with Resorts World next week. And they actually have, they got a second machine on site, and they're doing more additional tunnels. So theoretically, the whole plan is to go all the way up and down to all the major resorts on the Strip, would be absolutely incredible. Yeah. Might destroy taxis again and Uber service up there, but I'm thinking how incredibly convenient will it be, assuming they don't put it all the way in the back of the buildings, kind of like how they stuck on the monorail tracks all the way to the back of the building and made it impractical.
Are they supposed to do one from LA, or isn't there some kind of train going from LA?
Yeah, it's a high-speed train that keeps getting delayed.
No, not the high-speed train, but isn't Elon Musk supposed to do something underground from LA?
No. He's a lot about Hyperloops everywhere, but you haven't seen any of that really take
Okay.
off just yet. But the Boring Company is doing a great job. All right, so Jim, back to your event over there. Do you have a feeling that people are going to start to get more comfortable with where you're at, and then all of a sudden you're going to start to see, as you get closer, a higher than usual number of people signing on a date closer to your event than they typically would have in the past? Yeah, no, for example, I could have seen a lot of people coming on the last month or so, but the 2019 event, I might have been engaged 8, 9, 10 months in advance.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what we're seeing. I mean, it's 15, 20 new contracts a week right now.
Right.
And probably 2 years ago, we were seeing 3 or 4, right? Now part of it too, 2 years ago, we were pretty much sold out at this point.
Right.
And so people may have been calling to try to get space, but if we didn't have anything good, if you will, they weren't going to give us a contract. So now they're seeing that there's, opportunities in certain spots. And, but yeah, we're seeing it's pretty.
Sounds like you need dynamic pricing, Jim. You should increase your prices.
Yeah, we're not doing that, but I mean, we have done that, but not for this reason. We're a member owned and operated show, and our members pretty much make up 80% of our show space. So we do pretty well on the show as it is. We could do a whole lot better if we wanted to raise the rates. We did talk about dynamic pricing in terms of like location in the hall, right? Everybody wants to be the front booth, right. And we had talked about, if the middle is kind of your base price, it's 30% more to be in the front third of the hall and 30% in the back hall. And, we just didn't feel like it was going to solve the problem. We asked some of our larger members who are currently in the front, if we raised the rate by 30% or dropped it by 30%, would you move? They said, no, we'll pay it. Right. We're going to do it. So the idea isn't to grab more money from these folks. It was trying to get them to space out a little bit, but yeah, we talk about pricing a lot.
And are you finding the same issue that we have in service with employees, finding good employees in all these environments?
Yeah. So right now, our PMMI as a whole, so we have about 130, 140 employees. We are not having any issue with finding employees. I mean, we're not really hiring right now either.
I'm talking more the people that do business with you. Those
right.
businesses.
Our members are dying for people. They are really dying. In fact, I was in Minneapolis last week. Actually, I was in a place called Alexandria, Minnesota, which is 2 hours north of Minneapolis, visiting a couple of our members up there. And everyone up there is they're dying for people. Everyone in Minneapolis is dying. And as you're driving up the interstate, all you see is these big manufacturing plants on both sides, all of them with signs painted out, help wanted. Yeah, I think you're seeing that everywhere. You talk to anyone in manufacturing, they're going to tell you that's probably their biggest problem right now is finding qualified people. Actually, not even qualified anymore, finding people. It's been a problem for several years. It's gotten worse as they've gotten busier and busier.
Yep.
It's getting worse and worse. So
and that's what you're seeing in the service industry. It's not, they're starting to find people, but I have noticed the quality of service in every place. I've talked about this last week. In every place I've gone is horrific. Mm-hmm. So they're finding people, but the people they're finding, they wouldn't have hired a year ago.
Yeah. You got to take what you can get, I think, right now.
Yeah, listen, when I first started this podcast during the pandemic, I had no choice but to hire Glenn. That's what I can find.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was actually part of a program to get me back to work. So, go government.
That your wife initiated.
Yeah. Yeah. Michael Sandercock is right. Do you have a pulse? You're hired. We had somebody on the show here last week that was talking about that. They had a job fair, and if anybody showed up, they got hired right on the spot, which really says a lot about what's going on. So, Jim, when you're putting together this event, you really want it to be as normal as possible. It was in past years, but there still seems to be some either psychological holdups out there, but there's not any more, rules that are holding you up right now. Yeah. How are you trying to balance this? Because just because Nevada and Las Vegas in particular is back to 100% pre-COVID rules doesn't mean folks attending your event or displaying at the event are feeling the same way. After all, before we went on air, I was saying I'm from New York, you're from Virginia. We're not as ahead of the curve as people from Texas or Florida might be feeling.
Yeah. So I think, what we were thinking the world was going to be like 60 days ago is very different than what it is today. And I think in 60 days from now, it's going to be different again, right? It's going to be more open, more acceptable. I don't know if we're going to have really any protocols in place other than we'll have hand sanitizers, and we'll have, encourage people to wash their hands. If they want to wear a mask, wear a mask. It's up to you. We won't be validating or you have to verify you've been vaccinated. We won't be doing anything like that. We won't be doing temperature checks. Again, the things we were most worried about is if there was any automatic, we had to test everybody coming in the hall. That would be impossible to do. Right. And it wouldn't even be accurate. And I'm not even sure it would be ethical, to be honest with you. But we won't be doing that. We won't be doing temp checks. We won't be forcing masks. We had a whole plan in place of the mask patrol, if you will, right? They're going to go out and make sure people are doing that. And we're not going to have to do that. I think folks are going to have their own level of comfort on this thing. I think some are going to be totally fine and willing to do just about everything that they used to do. Others are going to still be a little reluctant. And I think those who are less concerned, I'm one of those who are less concerned about this and have always been. I have to be a little bit more sympathetic to those that are still kind of concerned and freaked out.
Yeah, I think the time you have somebody's clicking something. Somebody got something in their hand. Somebody's clicking something. But by the time you have your show, I don't think anybody that's there is not going to have issues. Again, coming from New York, coming from the mask, and everybody worried about masks, and I've been a mask advocate. I'm good. I'm ready to go. I don't want to see temperature checks. I don't want to see masks. I'm ready to go. And I got a vaccine for a reason. When I got vaccines as a kid, I never worried that I was going to get any horrible diseases from Johnny sitting next to me because my mommy told me I was vaccinated. Well, we're vaccinated. Let's go and do what we do as Americans and go do what we're supposed to do and engage. So I don't think you'll have any problem. Vegas right now, you don't even notice that I don't think anybody's wearing a mask. This morning I was in a Starbucks getting my daughter a cup of coffee, and in New York you would not know anything changed. Everybody was fully masked up in Starbucks. But that's there's Starbucks. I guess you still have to have the mask on. But outside of that Starbucks this morning, I don't think anybody's wearing a mask.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think there definitely before that's what we were thinking. We weren't too concerned about our protocols before because if you're willing to get on an airplane and fly to Las Vegas, most of our manufacturing is not in Nevada, right? It's California maybe, but not in Nevada. So you're most likely flying there. If you're willing to get on an airplane, fly there and go stay in a hotel, you're probably not that concerned about social distancing and what have you. I think we'll see it more on our exhibitor side who are more, the attendees, it's an optional thing for them to come. Our exhibitors almost forced to come. Those are the ones that I think will be a little bit more leery and they're going to want to see some things put in place and some protocols and we're going to appease some of that, but we're not going to go crazy. We were really worried, like I said earlier in this year, that we were going to have to come up with, one-way aisles and limit the number of people that could walk into a hall. And we are very, very grateful that's not going to be an issue.
That's awesome. I'm really happy to hear all of that. In the end, how different do you think it's going to be?
I got to tell you, I will say this is hopefully I'm not sounding negative because I'm not. I'm pretty excited about our show in September. I am hearing from our members and I am hearing from some of our customer groups. They are dying to get back to this. They are really excited about September and events happening. And we just held our first face-to-face board meeting about 3 weeks ago in Florida. And, it was optional. Board members could come or not come. And they could sign on virtually. And, more than 2/3 of them showed up in person because they really, really wanted to be in person. And those who didn't come, by the way, I should mention, most of them were from Canada. There are Canadian members and they could, but it's a problem getting back. Right. And so they chose not to. So everything I'm hearing from our members, everything I'm hearing from the customer group, and it's limited on the customer side, but definitely on the exhibitor side, is they're excited. They really want to get back to face-to-face. They all miss it. They know this is critical to their business long-term. They're doing great right now, but that pipeline's going to start drying up if they don't start refilling it.
All right, Jim, before we go, one last question for you. Our good friends over at Eco Tech Waste, you can find them at eco-techwaste.com. They've got the Tellurian basket. I know you're a big fan of these. You're going to be saving money and expenses by having these featured at your big event at the end of September?
We do. Actually, that's if you rent a garbage can from us, that's what you get. So it's not really a rental, but yeah. So it's a great thing. It works really well.
So did you get it from us because you heard it on our show, or you had it before?
He was working with Tom, I think, ahead of time.
Yeah, we had Tom. We've had Tom for quite a few years here.
Yeah, but you buy more. You buy a lot more now because we're talking about it, right?
Yes, yeah. I'm gonna actually, as soon as I get off the phone here, I'm gonna double that order.
It comes in different colors too. Just so
What?
Yeah,
Any color you want?
Now, you can get a starter kit, Jim, if you're not familiar with how it works.
All right. Well, that's good to know.
All right. Jim, if for some reason all of our hotel listeners decide to go into the packaging business, how can they learn more about you and attend your show?
Yeah, so the best place to go is PMMI.org or packexpo.com, either one if you want to learn about the show or if you want to learn about PMMI. We talk about a lot of the things we're talking about here in terms of protocols and what we are doing and not doing. And our shows are pretty much an open book. Our exhibitors and attendees can see exactly what's going on. Our full list of exhibitors, full list of registered, company attendees, not names, is available. So yeah. I'm
you
hoping,
want to change careers, it's a good place to go to find a new job.
It is right now. I'm telling you, they're looking for people. They'll take anyone. I think it's a pretty crazy time in this industry.
That's exciting. I guess then I might have a future at that
there
point.
You go.
Jim, thanks so much for being here. Let's get you back in the fall after your event and find out how it went. All right.
Happy to do so, boys. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So that's fun. It's great to talk to people outside the hospitality industry to see what they're thinking as travel and tourism starts to come back.
Listen, it's all changing. I was just talking to my friend. We're both about the same age, and everything's just changing. Like, we're used to seeing change to the point where we don't see it. It just happens, right? Change just happens. And all of a sudden, like Amazon, it kind of just happened. We're selling books, and all of a sudden we're buying everything from Amazon. It just kind of happens.
Right.
It seems like in the last year and this year, things are just moving at just rapid speed.
It's so true. And speaking of Amazon, man, my buddies and I were sitting around yesterday having a beer and talking about how insidious it's become because they make it so easy. I bought to go swimming. I bought some earplugs, but instead of going to Swim Outlet or Dick's Sporting Good or whatever it is, it's just super easy. Go click, and I've got it. So,
like I said last week, it's like this desk, Amazon. This camera, Amazon. This stand, Amazon. This desk, Amazon. The phone charges, Amazon. Everything I have except my checkbook and some files over here are Amazon. And it's like you said. When was the last time you spoke to a guest service rep at Amazon?
Never. I have to return something at a Kohl's, and I saw a human being, and I said, "Hi."
Never have I ever, because I have a pile in the corner in my closet behind me. That's the Amazon never return box that eventually goes into the Goodwill, but I just never going to return anything because everything I buy on Amazon is usually typically less than $100, and the things I do buy are over $100, usually things I really think about. Outside, like the other day, I was on the baseball field and I bought a mitt at 2:00 in the morning on Amazon. And my friend said, "That's a big mitt. That's a colorful mitt." I go, "Amazon." And he's like, "Why?" I said, "I just said it's Amazon 2:00 in the morning. You're supposed to buy a colorful big mitt at 2:00 in the morning."
Yeah, it reminds me of being up way too late in college and seeing those infomercials, and all of a sudden I get some sort of frying pan.
Right. You have an Amazon addiction when you literally go on Amazon and search most popular items on Amazon, and then you go and you buy those items. Or there's this couple on TikTok, this older couple from the Midwest that do a great job on the top thing this week that you need to have that they sell on Amazon. And they had this screw gun that you put the nail in, it stays on the screw gun, and it screws in the screw, and then. But however it was just like, I was like, yeah, I think I've seen that before, but I'm not sure. And I'm just looking and I'm like, I think I need that.
One of those as seen on TV things for that product.
But it comes down to service. And it just like we were just talking about, where someone will pay 30% more to stay in front of the convention. Well, why? Because they like the convention, they do business at the convention, and they think it's a good way of spending money to make money. Yep. So it makes sense. So you will use a product or any company. What I am afraid of is we're going to be on a garbage dump of service in 24 months. Service has been a problem in this country for a long time, but you were able to pay for service, right? So you paid a little bit more money. You stayed in a better room. You ate at a better restaurant. So you were able to pay for service. I'm seeing these hotels I'm staying in and the services I'm paying for, they're just not there. I just had an event wasn't me, but somebody in my family. They said the person at the hostess stand was the rudest human being they've ever dealt with, and they were on the VIP list.
Wow.
I think we have a serious problem. Everybody's talked about service for years, but now I've never seen anything like it. It's like these people don't belong having a job. The people that are having a job.
Well, Anthony, the consequences are getting strong for a lot of companies out there. And one company out there has made a bold move. Are you familiar with the Cedar Point amusement park up there in Sandusky, Ohio?
I know Sandusky, Ohio, because I did a show there, but I'm not.
You did the water park show.
Yeah. We were supposed to go to the amusement park, but it wasn't open.
Well, I've never been to Cedar Point, but it's either them or Magic Mountain that typically.
Yeah, it's supposedly one of the best amusement parks in the country.
So, all right. So they were having trouble finding employees, and they were having to close the park certain days this month because they just couldn't find enough people to schedule enough hours to keep that park open every single day. So what did they do, Anthony? They increased starting pay from $10 an hour a year ago to $20 an hour, and that move did the trick. Now they're getting a ton of people applying for jobs. They're back to interest levels back that they saw in 2019, and as a matter of fact, but it's kind of eviscerated the chances for anybody else in the entire community being able to find people to work at their places.
But also then listen, there are restaurants and hotels that are just basically making it even in good times, right? Mm-hmm. And those maybe are investments that maybe you should rethink, right?
Yep.
When you're paying somebody $10 an hour in this day and age, you're doing the wrong thing.
Right.
So you increased your ticket prices over the years. Your taxes increase, everything increased. So you increase your ticket prices. You can't increase your ticket prices to pay a living wage. So, on one hand, and I know this is unpopular, and don't think you know my politics because what I'm about to say, but I think that this country's been in a bad position with a living wage for a very, very long time, and seeing it firsthand with people working and not being able to put food on the table. It's a good thing, but having to jump from $10 to $20 an hour, is that sustainable for that park? And if it's not sustainable for the park, they just cause themselves a big problem. Now, when you go to Walt Disney World and you're paying what now? It's $150 a park per person or something?
Well, they've gone to more dynamic pricing, so it depends on the day. At least they did that out in California. I think they're doing that now in Florida. But yeah,
so there's different ways of making sure that you're able to, pay a living wage. And I don't know how you sleep at night when you're running a park or whatever. Listen, if you're getting kids in high school and they're making $10 an hour, that's different. But if you're asking people to supervise and they're making $11 an hour and they're supervising life safety issues, and you're getting somebody that decided not to work in Dunkin' Donuts to supervise life safety issues, like I saw in Sandusky and Ohio. I love Sandusky, but the hotel I was in, they literally gave a young lady, I think it was $11 an hour, and she didn't know what the panic button was for on the rides, and she was the supervisor in charge of the water park. You should watch my show, Glenn, because you look surprised.
No, I don't remember that particular part of it. I do remember.
We actually got her a job,
such as you really taking a liking to that one young woman.
Yeah, that was the woman I'm talking about.
Yeah, right.
I said to her, "See this button, the panic button? It's supposed to have a plastic cover on it, so not everybody can push that button." And she goes, "I don't even know what that button's for. I don't know if it works." Right. I said, "What? That's the button that if somebody's stuck on the ride, you stop."
Right. And to be clear, it wasn't her fault. It was a training issue because the owners were so.
It wasn't her fault even a little bit.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's never their fault. If you're not trained, you're not trained.
That's absolutely right. I just wanted to make that clear for our listeners out there so they would know that she was a great worker. As a matter of fact, I feel like you got her a job at another hotel.
We did. We went down the road to a first-class place.
Yeah.
And it's a funny story. Since we have a little time, do you want me to tell you?
I got another story to share with you after this.
A funny story. So I'm doing this in Sandusky, Ohio hotel, it's not good. Matter of fact, it's been condemned. It's over. That hotel is no longer in existence, as far as I understand. They didn't listen to me. We walked out, the whole nine. So we find this young lady a job. I asked my producers, hey, find a job at what's the big water park in Sandusky, Ohio?
Well, they have a number of them, but
They
Great
got
Wolf, I think you're probably talking
No,
about.
not Great Wolf. The other one.
Sorry?
Yeah, Kalahari. So my producer finds, said, yeah, we can come with the cameras and we can introduce them to the person that runs the water park, and we can potentially get a job. And can we do it on camera? And they said, yeah. So I'm not involved in any of this. I just said to my producer, I want to get this young lady a job at Kalahari. Can you make it happen? She said, yeah. So next thing I know, I show up with my cameras. We're going through the VIP, like all the executives there. They want to meet me. So I'm shaking hands. Hey, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. And all of a sudden, at the end of the line is the vice president of the resort. And his name is Brian. And I see Brian and I lose my mind. I go, Brian, he used to be my general manager when I ran the Nickelodeon.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I'm like, so we hug, and Brian left on his own terms because he was very good, but I was a lot to work with. So I think after 2 years of me, he decided to go get another gig. Mm-hmm. So the first thing my producers do when they know we know each other, they forget the show even exists. They go to him and go, what does he really like to work with in a hotel? And he tells this story. And I don't think I'm telling the story that he wouldn't want me to share. He said, I had post-traumatic stress disorder from working with him. And so everybody was giggling. And he goes, no, I'm not kidding. He goes, working with him, like literally, like it affected my whole life. So I love working with him. I love him, but it affected my whole life. So he had to work somewhere else. So we go to his office. We're sitting there and we're catching up. And there's this plaque.
Right.
And it's a beautiful, like, glass plaque. And I don't remember this plaque. And I go, oh, good dude, I love this plaque. I got to get this plaque. And it says no excuses. Right? And he goes, idiot, you gave that to every executive when you took over the Nickelodeon. You gave it was a Tiffany plaque. He goes, you went out and you got Tiffany boxes and you got a Tiffany plaque and said no excuses. And you made everybody put it on their desk and look at it every day. I go, you're still looking at it? He goes, listen, I said you were hard to work for. I didn't say I didn't learn anything from you.
Right. And that's good because that's, when people really appreciate a different leadership style that helps educate them, even if it's not their preferred style, you got to love that about a professional.
Yeah, I used to wake up at 7 a.m. He worked his ass off, and he's a great manager. But I woke up really early, and I was running around the hotel, and it was in bad shape when we took over. So he had his hands full, and I only worked Monday through Thursday and went home on the weekends, Thursday night until Monday. So he had his hands full, and he had a family, and he was one of the most wonderful people I've ever met in the industry. But it was probably not a good gig when I took over because it was, the hotel was in a lot of financial trouble. So it was long hours.
Yeah, probably very stressful too. So speaking about financial trouble, I got an opposite story to share with you here with this. So guess what? So Choice Hotels is their CEO, Pat Pittas, he spoke at Goldman Sachs's travel and leisure conference, and they reported, you're not going to believe this, that domestic system-wide revenue per available room from May 28th to 30th increased by 12% versus Memorial Day 2019, Anthony, not last year, marking the strongest revenue performing Memorial Day weekend in the company's history, with Saturday, May 29th, recording the single highest revenue day ever for Choice Hotels International. What do you think about that?
Wow. I think that's fantastic. And I won't tell you because he hasn't announced it, I don't think. But I had a conversation with another person that runs a limited service brand. And he told me a similar story.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, domestic system-wide RevPAR for May declined 4.2% compared to May 2019. But such incredible numbers. And they've got this extended stay brand over there that you might be familiar with, Woodspring Suites. In the second quarter, they grew their RevPAR over 15% compared to the same period in 2019. And Cambria Hotels, their revenue share is up 16 percentage points versus local competitors since 2019.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's that's what I'm hearing around the country. And Listen, right now, our number one priority, last year, our number one priority was safety and keeping everybody out of work and making sure they can afford to pay their bills, right? That was the government and the country's job. This year, it's to ensure people can go to work, have a job, that they don't have to depend on unemployment. We've got to get rid of the $300 unemployment because it's not needed anymore.
Yep.
Okay, the extra unemployment. We got to give people a living wage. We got to make sure that people are working for a living wage, and we've got to give them real jobs. And then we have to give them real management that care about them and take care of them, and stop trying to nickel and diming people. When you're paying full-grown adults that have families $10 an hour in an area that you think you can get away with it, I'm sorry. The time has come where you've got to share some of that money and some of that profit with the people working for you. And so you won't, and I'm not saying small businesses are just making it. I'm saying if $20 was there to make sure this thing runs, that means it costs them that they can afford to do it, or they would have closed it. They would have just closed it and sold it and said it's somebody else's headache.
Right. Yep. Great point. Great point. So everything is coming back. Business is coming back. And speaking of that, we're going to be in New York City tomorrow, Anthony, doing a live show from the Langham. Really looking forward to seeing how that city is coming back from the last shows that we did at the Mark Hotel.
And you see the shock in my eyes, right? I'm like, oh, that's right. I'm going to be in the city tomorrow because I'll be leaving from there. I'll be going to Florida for a business meeting.
Cool. And leaving from there to go up to New Hampshire. So we're gonna.
You're going on vacation?
No, I'm going to Bruce Ford's father's funeral.
Oh, that's right. I spoke to Bruce on Friday. It was nice hearing him.
He was really touched that you called him. But
yeah. He's one of the good guys, man. Bruce is one of the good guys.
Yeah, he really is. Love ourselves some Bruce Ford. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Anthony, any final words today before we get going?
Yeah, this is the earliest show we've ever done. You have nothing to talk about?
I got plenty to talk about. 46 minutes and 42 seconds. Isn't that short?
Can I talk about something?
Yeah, man, go for it.
Let's talk about LaGuardia Airport. What's going on?
Oh my God. How much fun has it been watching them build a new airport right on top of an old airport over the last few years? Now, the last time I was over there, I think was February or March, and the Delta terminal's really starting to come up together. That's the last major component of this project. Super exciting to see. I got to fly out of some new gates when I flew Delta last time. Were you flying Delta
on time? And because of COVID, it's on time and on budget because they were able to fast track stuff. And let me tell you something. If you never went to LaGuardia and you go to the airport, you'll be like, hey, this is a nice airport. It's a new airport. It's nice. And you'll be like, but I've seen airports like this before. You got to really appreciate it because I flew into somewhere in Central America.
Right.
I can't remember the airport I flew into. And I'm sitting in the airport, and not to say anything bad about Central America, but the airports in Central America shouldn't be nicer than the ones in America. And I'm sitting there, and the one in Central America was a bad airport. It was terrible. But I said to myself, it was better than the airport you flew out of, which was LaGuardia.
Right.
LaGuardia was worse than a third world country airport. It was absolutely horrendous. So to see LaGuardia actually look like an airport like in Arizona or Chicago or wherever, or Germany, it's really nice to see. So I'm really excited about LaGuardia. I might even fly into LaGuardia from time to time now.
Yeah, I mean, it is spectacular. It is gorgeous. And I remember when then Vice President Joe Biden said it looked like a third world airport. That kind of kicked everybody into gear, and they actually moved ahead with this plan.
Was that Joe Biden that said that?
Yeah. One really cool thing about what they're doing over at that airport is because they had to build the new airport on top of the old airport, they had to get rid of all of like the parking facilities in front. They built some stuff, and they moved all the terminals up. And now they have on the tarmac, they've got a whole section of gates. But to get there, they had to build this massive overpass that people walk on. And it's so big, it's the first time in the United States they have this. Airplanes can pass under it. How cool is that to go from the head house to the terminal gate and be able to watch an airplane pass underneath you.
Yeah, but just explain to people passing underneath it as they land or take off, not flying underneath it.
Right. As it's taxiing on the tarmac.
Well, you know what's so funny, Colleen? You're so cute. You said, "Is LaGuardia worse than Atlanta?" That's like describe. Yes, it's the Taj Mahal compared to what LaGuardia was. Atlanta it's a very busy airport, but it's not a bad airport. It's a crazy airport to get a flight out of if you're connecting, but it's a nice airport. LaGuardia was literally disgusting.
Yeah, really disgusting. I mean, really super bad. But I will tell you, it is so convenient to Manhattan. Really easy to get there.
But you know what was fun? Because I have a friend who drives me to the airport all the time, Robinson, and he knows how to get me into LaGuardia and out of LaGuardia without having to like schlep over everything. And watching people in snowstorms schlepping from like the highway, literally over construction barriers with their luggage to get into the terminal. It's like, couldn't they have figured out a better way of doing that? Now they don't have that problem. But do you remember what I'm talking about, right? It was all over the news. It's like you would literally drop people off at the highway and they have to schlep. It was crazy.
It was, but it was a lot quicker than trying to get in there. One time I got stuck for over 2 hours just trying to get out of that airport. And it's one of the smallest airports in the country as well by landmass. Oh, my God.
Okay, so since we have one more minute or a couple more minutes, but this is the time of the show we do every day. I'm going to ask you 3 questions, rapid fire, and then you ask me 3 questions, rapid fire. Ready? Favorite color?
Blue.
Favorite food?
Sushi.
Favorite person to spend a day with that doesn't belong to your family?
You, of course.
I'm your family. Doesn't belong to your family.
I don't know.
Right, one person, dead or alive, that you would love to. It could be a celebrity, it could be anybody that you would love to have a drink with.
I would love to have a drink with Trey from Fish.
I knew you were going to say that.
I mean, it's easy answer.
All right.
I've met him a couple of times, but haven't had a meaningful conversation. All right. So, where, if you could go anywhere in the world tomorrow, where would it be?
Japan.
If you could get any sort of souvenir from any of your Hotel Impossible shows, what do you wish you would have taken during your time?
That is so interesting because I just had a thought over the weekend. It was something I can't remember, but I'll come back to that.
All right. And finally, my third question will be for you. You think you're going to travel more or less in the future than you did pre-pandemic?
Oh, more, much more. Yeah, I'm already almost a Diamond member. It's not even July.
Excellent.
Almost a Diamond. Oh, I got it. This is what I thought about over the weekend. And it wasn't a hotel. I wish I would be able to get one of the cameras, one of the original cameras from the first show. I wish I had that. Like, because I think about that camera and I think what it represents to my life and my career. And that camera changed everything because I did everything I used to do. I just did it with a camera and it changed my life. So I wish I had that camera somewhere in like kind of glass, Yeah,
that'd be cool. All right,
yeah.
awesome. So Mary Malloy says she's looking forward to seeing you at HOTEC soon. Mary, can't wait to be down there with you on June 28th and 29th. I'll be broadcasting with some people from down there. Anthony will be dialing in for those shows. That'll be a lot of fun being live in Miami.
Yeah, I may be doing a lot of remote stuff in the next couple of weeks.
We're all remote. We're remote anyway, right?
That's true.
All right, Anthony. Any final thoughts before we get out of here today? Now we push it to 5307.
No, sir.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. We'll be back tomorrow from the Langham in New York City for a great in-person live show. Hey, we're making the best of it as we can because we know we've only got one life, so we're blazing on and
Be kind to yourself.
see you all tomorrow.